Asleep amidst the trees, bats all are swaying in the breeze. But one so light, anxious, wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and wraiths. For your dolly Polly sleep has flown, don't dare let her tremble alone. For the witchland, heartless cold, paid in coin of gold. He comes, he'll go, leave naught behind but heartache and woe. It's all silent for the night. House turned in as daylight dies. But when so light lunches wide awake, fearing all manner of ghouls, hags and wraiths.
Hi everybody and welcome to our Monday night's live discussion. I hope you're all well. So we're bringing this to you from the Haunted Antiques Paranormal Research Centre in Hinckley, Leicester, and we are of course sponsored by Sims Vintage Antiques at Button Warren near Stratford. So a big welcome to everybody. Tonight we are going to be discussing the spiritual shift. Have you experienced anything like this? Would you like to find out more about it? And if you've got any comments, if you've got any questions, as usual, put them all in the comments below. And we will try and do our best to answer your questions. Alongside me tonight is Neil, our illustrious leader.
Good evening, everybody. As you can see, I'm back at the centre.
Yeah, you actually are in the centre.
I'm actually in the office at the centre.
Yeah,
so,
that's good.
It's strange.
So I'm still at home, which isn't a bad thing. Oh, I've got my woolly hat on tonight. It's starting to get a bit cold to now, isn't it?
Have you not put your heating on yet then, Jane?
Yeah. I seem to be feeling the cold a bit at the minute. But it has been a lovely day today.
All right.
So, good evening, everybody who's joined us. Again, we are talking about a spiritual shift. So if you've got questions, if you've experienced anything like that, please share all your stories. We'd love to hear about it. So let us know what you think.
Let me put this first comment up, Jane.
Okay.
I don't know who it's from, but it's from Haunted Antiques, and they said, "Hi, Richard."
Oh, well, Richard Felix was just Jacqueline's guest on her show, wasn't she? The show before.
Perhaps it's Jacqueline getting confused.
Yeah.
Okay then, so we're talking things about spiritualism then, Jane. Let's start with you. What's this spiritual shift? People come to the centre and they keep saying there's a big shift in the energies and everything. What's your take on all this?
Well, this could mean so many different things. There's a spiritual shift can happen on lots of different sort of levels, and by that I mean within yourself, within your chakras, within your own spiritual self. You can have a spiritual shift. You know, if you're sort of moving up a level, if you're having an awakening where you're becoming more open to vibration and frequencies and stuff like that, you can actually have a spiritual shift on a personal level. And then of course, you know, there's all the energies around us, and you can have, you know, there can be a spiritual shift in that realm. And I'm just, you know, I could probably talk about this forever, but there's things like the zodiac. you know, and all the constellations and things like that. You know, now they talk about the Mayan calendar and how it was supposed to expire in 2012, and the end of the world. But really, when they sort of looked at it, it was more like the end of an era, an epoch where, you know, and now we're sort of going into the age of an Aquarius, and that can cause a big spiritual shift and stuff like that. So you can have a spiritual shift on lots of different sort of levels. Does that make sense?
Yeah, clear as mud to me, but let me just add, if anybody wants to share the feed, you're more than welcome to. All our live feeds now go onto this page, as well as our Twitter account and our YouTube channel. And before we came on air, Jane says, "How do you do that?" And I said, "I'm clever."
You get an ology, you're a genius.
I must be a genius. Well, I think what we'll need to do is, if we're going to do, when we start doing these shows from the centres, have all the certificates behind us.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. I'll bring me demonology one up. I think we all got a demonology one, didn't we, in lockdown?
I didn't. I must admit, I didn't. I couldn't be bothered. Even Amy's a demonologist.
I know, bless her.
Okay, then let's put the first comment up. This is from Richard. So obviously that's where someone was saying hi, Richard.
Oh, okay.
Richard says, 2012, I was reborn and became very into my spiritual journey. I was very poorly in a hospital.
Yeah, you see, you do hear a lot of people say that they've had some sort of trauma or some sort of major thing that's happened to them, and they then come out of it, and it's completely changed their thoughts and their ideas, and even got them onto a spiritual path. Because I know for me, it was almost like a calling. I was almost compelled to do it, and I couldn't do anything else, and I knew it was the right path for me. And I'd been searching for so many answers for such a long time that when I started it, all the answers just seemed to just fall into place. And to me, that's how I knew I was doing the right thing.
Yeah. Okay. It's Richard again. He says 3-week coma, 2.5 months in hospital. Yeah,
I can believe that, and I do. You know, when I was sort of training myself as a medium and things over those years, I met a lot of people who had like a spiritual enlightenment because they'd sort of died on an operating table, or they'd had some sort of major trauma. I mean, when I say died on an operating table, they were brought back again. But in the time that they died, it seemed to change everything about them and their thoughts and spirituality and everything else.
Did I read somewhere, or someone tell me, that happened to Fred West?
Oh, he had some sort of trauma, didn't he, that changed him?
Did he, when he was a kid, apparently, this is what, from what I can remember, he was a normal kid, and then he had some trauma. Was he in a coma or something? Or did he die on the operating table? And then when he came round, he was changed. Yeah,
I do vaguely remember something like that, reading that.
Yeah, let's put some more comments. This is from Linda. Linda says, I have had spiritual shift recently myself, and I have been gaining more knowledge on the mediumship side of things, more so than the paranormal.
Yeah, I do believe that they will steer you into learning and understanding what they feel that you should know, what your lessons are, what your path is really, because not everybody's path is the same. Some people might want to be healers, some people might want to be philosophers, some people might just be on a completely different path to learn other lessons.
Okay, then Richard again. Richard says, now a trained SNU healer and very much pick up vibrations.
Yeah, I did SNU healing for about 3 years, maybe 4 years. So I do, healing, spiritual healing is sort of one of the highest sort of vibrations that you can pick up.
So what's SNU mean then?
Spiritualist National Union, I think.
Oh, yeah.
It's the church.
Yeah. Okay, this is a comment from Willie. I've not read it, so I'm being brave putting Willie's comment up. Willie says, over the last year, I have started to be overshadowed more, but I've always got control without them taking over. So what's your thoughts on overshadowing and that sort of thing then, Jane?
I do think you need to learn. For me, before sort of doing that, it was always a case of learning how to control it, learning how to switch it on, switch it off, how to protect yourself and everything like that. You know, that was all part of my training when sitting in circle. I think you do need to be careful if you're just letting spirit in and out and letting them overshadow you. And I mean, if it's what you want, then that's okay. But you know, there's cases where people are just constantly sort of open and they're sort of constantly being bombarded, and then they're sort of saying, oh, I can't get rid of this, I don't know what to do with it, and this sort of thing. But you've got to learn to control it, because, you know, otherwise it does take all your energy, and it's not always a good way to just allow spirit to just come in and out as they please.
Yeah. Okay then.
You've got to be in charge.
Got to be in charge. Bloss says she was in hospital for 3 months after a stroke. I think that must have changed her. So any more comments about this spiritual shift? Or is Terry? Terry says spiritually is as fluid as water. It can pass you, block you, or go through you. It's so individual, great learning and study, but others' experience. We should then all go and try personal experience.
Yeah, so you will be on your own, really, your own journey, and it's up to you how much you progress it, how much you work with it. And it does take time, it takes commitment, it takes practice, and it, you know, you've got to put that commitment into spirit for them to sort of help you.
Yeah. Is Willie back? Willie says, yeah, I only let it happen when I want it to, and I'm surrounded by people I trust. Yeah,
that's good.
So do you think things are happening spiritually now because of what's happening on the planet?
I've been reading a little bit about this recently, and I think people are beginning to sort of wake up more, not just here but all around the world. People are getting fed up with wars and greed and everything else, and you know, just all this sort of globalization and capitalism, and you know, we seem to be forgetting people, and people seem to be awakening to that there is other things out there. You know, religion's taking a big decline. People are waking up to more of the spiritual side, more of the natural side, you know, looking after Mother Nature, looking after the environment, looking after, you know, the world that we live in. And I think more and more people are becoming aware of how things like religion and stuff can actually impact our lives, because we do have this natural calling, and you're finding more and more people are going back to paganism and going back to the old ways and going back to meditating and finding peace and finding their own things, their own way in life. And there's just so much more to this. You know, it only takes 1% of the population to want to change the environment in order to make a big difference. Because we are all connected. We're all connected. The energy is all connected. The energy throughout the universe is all connected. And I've recently just wrote an article for this to go in the next Haunted Live magazine. And, you know, I think the lockdown has really brought home to us how lonely and isolated we can be. But really, we're not. We are all connected. And some of the theories are that it actually goes back all the way to the Big Bang, because we were all part of the same matter. And as all that matter spread out, it then, as it all spread out, it's still connected. Once you've been connected with something, that connection remains.
Yeah. It's a bit like the Borg, isn't it, in Star Trek? If you know the Borg, they're all connected to one thing, aren't they?
Yeah.
Okay, this is from Amy. Amy says, "Are you at the centre on your own, Neil?" No. Julie's in the tea room doing some work in there, so I'm not up here on my own. Terry says, "More people looking at their own mortality, leading to the God effect, stroke religion or world healing."
Now, I think science can backs a lot of this up, and there's a lot of stuff out there that's not necessarily common knowledge, but it probably won't be sort of published. I mean, they publish the books and things, but it's still not being taught in schools because of fear of upsetting the church and people like that. They did an experiment where they split an atom and they sent one half one way, the other half the other way. So these two halves were 14 miles apart, and then they sort of stimulated one part of this atom, and simultaneously the other one did exactly the same without having any intervention whatsoever. So the connection is there. The connection is there. And that is the same as with people and with everything else, that once we've been part of something and we've been connected, it then that connection is still there, and it's done through all the energy that's around us.
Yeah, I don't know what sort of books you read. Okay, Pam's comment on. Pam says, "I've enjoyed the isolation. I have meditated a lot and feel I am a better person for it."
Yeah. And there's just so much more that we can do for that self-healing and everything else. And once we connect and we start working on that level, there's just so much more we can do. And this all, this is one of the sort of big secrets of why religion has sort of banned all this stuff, all these ancient secrets for such a long time.
Yeah, a couple more comments. Noreen says 100% agree, Jane. And Alex says, "Love it, Jane."
Oh, good.
This is why I pay Jane the big bucks, you see.
Yeah.
Any research need doing for anything that we're doing, Jane does it. So any more comments? So you got anything else to say on this side of things, Jane?
This sort of spiritual shift sort of thing. Well, we are amazing creatures, and
thank you.
Just they have actually found, and I know I've probably spoke about this before, neurons in our hearts. So our hearts have that connection, and our hearts give off an EMF field, and they can your heart can actually give off EMF for up to 8 feet away. And the only reason why it's calculated at 8 feet, because that's as far as the instrument went that was recording it. So you have your own sort of field, and this can also sort of affect your shift as well. Because if somebody's in, you've walked into a room where you don't like somebody or whatever, and you can instantly feel that, and you have that sense inside. It's your sixth sense, and you can protect yourself, you can heal yourself. And if there's a thing, and I would urge everybody to look this up, and it's called the heart math thing, and it's where you can connect your heart with your brain, and you can synchronize it, and you can do a lot of healing and a lot of well-being for yourself. Look it up. And this is all backed by science. This isn't me being crackpot as usual. This is all backed by science. So you can, and people who are feeling lonely and isolated and everything else, look up the heart math experiment and you try it, and it will bring massive benefits to you.
So who's moving around in your room, Jane?
Who's moving around?
Yeah.
Nobody. There's nobody here.
That picture of the flower, does that go out the front window then?
Oh, sorry. That's a different. No,
Is that
it's all right.
different
It's
room?
telly. Telly's on
Alright.
silent.
That's okay then.
Well, I've turned it
I
off.
can just see all these things going on in the picture.
No, that's a different picture. That's not the mirror. Remember when we had the mirror
Yeah,
going?
that was a bit weird,
Yeah,
wasn't
I've
it?
moved the mirror, but that's a picture from the grandkids. So
Okay then, a few more comments. Abigail said 100%. Alex says they are finding us crackpots, so I'm not so crackpot now.
once a crackpot, always a crackpot. You've got to be a crackpot to get down this road, I think, sometimes.
Bloss says mind over matter.
Yeah, it is sort of on that level. But we can do so much for ourselves spiritually. And you know, when like a spiritual shift occurs, it can cause so much stuff that we don't always put it down to a spiritual shift or something, you know, as I sort of say sometimes, that imbalance in the force. You know, you can get headaches, you can get you know, it can cause nausea, you can have muscle aches and depression, and you know, crying without a reason. It can upset you so much just by being out of thoughts and not being in balance with you know, with that shift.
Yes, it's fascinating, isn't it? Do you think spiritualism is going to grow after this year? Because it's been a bit of a naff year, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think, spiritualism is something like the 7th or 8th recognised religion in the world. And I think more and more people are turning to it. I mean, spiritualism, people see that as sort of, you know, I think it depends on your how you define spiritualism, because some people will see it as going to church and just get messages from people.
Yeah.
Other people will see it as doing the healing and everything else. But to me, it's just a much more bigger field than that, because it incorporates everything, the energies of the universe, working with people, healing people. It's just massive. You can't just blinker it into one box.
Yeah, let's put some more comments up. Sarah's comment. Sarah says, "Hope you're okay after last night." Now, I'm perfectly fine now. Fortunately, Jane was watching, so I spoke to Jane afterwards, and it was all okay. Kevin says, "Drove past Hinkley today on way to a meeting. We'll stop off next time." We're open on Saturdays, Kevin. So if you come up this way on a Saturday, pop in and say hello. Be nice to meet you. Terry says, used to call it biorhythms years ago, synchronizing heart pulses, etc. And that's what you've just been saying, isn't it, Jane? Yeah,
but this was sort of discovered by the Heart Math Institute, and it has been going a while.
Wasn't there a thing about the, you know, when the Twin Towers? Didn't you say something about
yes,
that?
That was all through the electromagnetic field of your heart, because our hearts do affect, you know, it's that emotion, it's that feeling, and it's about they recognized that there was a spike in the Earth's magnetic field, and when they looked at the date and the time, it was when the Twin Towers went down. And as those images were shown all around the world and people watched it, through the emotions of their own heart, they sent out this sort of pulse of magnetic field from their heart, and it actually affected the magnetic field of the Earth.
All right.
I've actually got some. You can actually find all this online. There's a graph there.
All right.
It actually shows you the magnetic field, the true data.
So you're really just showing off that you've done your homework, aren't you?
Yeah, I was doing my homework.
I've got my notes.
Mm.
Oh, let's keep going. Richard said it always grows. I think that's about spiritualism. Sarah said that's good to hear. Terry says, I don't think spiritualism will, but alternative thinking will grow.
Yeah, there's a lot of scientists out there that are actually backing this, and the scientists who actually believe in spirit. When I say spiritualism, as in the spiritual ways of the ancestors and indigenous people, stuff like that. There's a lot of people in the science world now that are becoming more and more willing to accept that there is, that there is something out there, and all this stuff is actually based through science. These people who were actually trying to find evidence and the answers of why we're here, what we're doing, and how long we've been around, and all that sort of thing. Yeah. And they did another experiment where we can actually manipulate the environment around us. They sucked out all the particles from this chamber, and then they put some human DNA in there, and it did actually start to recreate it. So the environment was actually continued to build on the DNA. So as people, we can change the way we think and the way we look after ourselves and the way we change the environment around us. And this then goes back to that 1% of people. If 1% of people will for peace and love and that around the world, then we can, we could do it.
Yeah. Okay, that's more comments. No, I didn't click on it. Alex says, I had a heart specialist tell me people with heart prolapse tend to be more in tune with their surroundings. I guess that's what he was talking about.
Yeah, that's because your heart has neurons, and it can when they say about you go follow your head or your heart, and it's your heart that has the emotion, and your the brain that sort of does the thinking, but it's the heart that is that gets sort of more results, if you like, than the brain. It's that emotion and that will.
So you say your heart sends out EMF?
Yeah.
So can you train this? Can you train your heart to set off EMF meters then?
Well, I've often wondered about this because I mean, I wanted to try and do, sort of more reading about it. And I don't necessarily want to go out there in the paranormal and say, oh, your EMF meter's being set off by your heart. I just, because sometimes I think it's up to people to do their own research.
Yeah.
And I don't necessarily want to say, well, I don't think that's quite right because, I don't want to have that. I don't want to be arrogant. I've seen it a lot of times with other people, and they're saying, well, that you're wrong and I'm right. And I don't want to do that. I want people to find out for themselves. And it is quite possible that picking up EMF, if you've got a strong enough emotion that's coming from your heart, you could possibly set off. It could set off an EMF meter. If they can track the EMF from your heart from 8 feet, I suppose it depends how sensitive their equipment is. And this is a scientist I'm talking about.
That's interesting, isn't it? Okay then. Richard says, do you think the spike was the healing of empathy collecting at the same time? It would have been given knowingly and unknowingly.
I think it was the shock of people seeing what was happening in those Twin Towers was enough to generate an emotion of such sort of magnitude, and collectively all around the world, it made that spike in the Earth's magnetic field, because it's the Earth's magnetic field apparently runs at 1 megahertz. And if we synchronize our heart and our brain in that heart math exercise, that takes it down to 1 megahertz. So we can actually synchronize our EMF in our hearts, can synchronize with the Earth's magnetic field.
So really then, if enough of us collectively
Yeah.
poured out enough love and understanding, we could
Yeah.
change the world.
Yes. And it goes back to it also. It's on that same basis of prayer. You know, they've proven that prayer can actually somebody. If you've got two people in bed a bit sick, and you've got say 20 people praying for one person and nobody praying for the other person, that prayer, because the prayer will help people get better, but it's not necessarily the power of God, it's the intent. And it's that intent and that sort of strength in there to make a difference to that person collectively.
Blimey. Okay then. Abby says it was the phantom DNA experiment when they split the molecules or whatever.
That might be the one where they sucked out the
yeah, that's the one.
And just put the DNA in it.
Yep. Pamela says the heart as electrical impulses. That's how you get it to contract. It's all electrical, isn't it? Alex says, from a paranormal point of view, I'm very sensitive to EMF and I feel it in my chest.
Cool.
Terry says, isn't it a shame that emotional energy of fear spreads quicker than healing emotion of love? Humans have become disillusioned along the way. I think they have, haven't they?
Yeah. But when you go back to indigenous tribes and stuff where they've been practicing this stuff, they didn't used to experience any of the stuff that we experience. We don't experience they don't experience worries about money and housing, and they don't experience any of that sort of stuff because they're living off the land and they trust in spirit, and they have a much simpler life.
It's a shame we can't do that, isn't it?
Well, we're in a world where banks and you try and opt out of how you're living. If you try and opt out and live a simple life, even if you want to go and build a little house, say in the middle of a woods, somebody will still want some sort of form of payment off you. The water board will still want money for your water rates, even though you're taking it out of the stream. It's everything has a price on it, and that's the world that we live in.
What a shame. So any more comments, guys? Let us know. Otherwise, I'm just going to let Jane ramble on.
I see Alex Knight's put a comment up there. I'm not sure if I've jumped any, but she says witchcraft works with energy manipulation. And that's the same sort of thing, manipulating the energy, whether it's prayer, whether it's witchcraft, whether it's paranormal. It's basically all the same thing, working with energy and intent. It's working with that energy in the universe. And it was, all these empty spaces around us has been proven to be filled with an energy that connects us all.
Yeah. So it's a huge thing. This is it, the spiritual shift.
Yeah.
No, you can do anything really if you want to.
You see, you could class that the EMF people with the hearts on 9/11 when the towers came down. You could sort of class that as a spiritual shift because it was collectively done by a lot of people. And then again, it could be there's so many different ways you could define a spiritual shift. Because it's energies, it's the energies around us.
Sarah says, I'm a believer in positive energy. It really works.
Yeah.
That's true, isn't it? You think positive.
And again, it's still going back to that intent. It's that positive intent, using that positive energy.
So until people comment, let's skip forward. We've got a special live feed coming Sunday, haven't we, Jane?
Hopefully, yes.
Hopefully. hopefully, if things work out the way we want it to work out, we will be doing a live feed on the Anderson shelter at the centre. And Jane will be popping in.
Yes, hopefully. Yes, I'll be all being well with mask and
And I should be keeping 50 feet away from her.
Yeah, I'm quite looking forward to it. So hopefully it'll all work out okay.
Because you haven't been up here since February, March.
Yeah, it's been a good long time.
So yeah, so if you'd like to see Jane do some work with the Anderson shelter, it'll be strict government guidelines being followed because of Jane, obviously. And because we abide by the government guidelines.
Yeah.
Quickly moving on.
Way to be these days.
So yeah, so I'm looking forward to Sunday. It'd be nice to get you back up here.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Okay, let's put some more comments. Terry says, I believe wrongly in the material world, too many people altogether. We lost much empathy. It's true, it takes a village to raise a child, bringing knowledge of all generations. We should go back to it.
Yeah, I do think we'll go back to it.
We've lost our way, haven't we? As a mankind, or humankind, should I say, we have lost our way. It's too much focusing on what you've got.
Yeah, and going back to a simpler way of life is just much happy. It's a much happier way to be.
Well, all you got to think of is you're probably the same as when we were kids, Jane. We had nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm certain, without doubt, we were happy kids with nothing.
Oh, yeah.
And the kids are now, who they've got the PlayStations, they've got the computers, and they've got everything.
Yeah, and they expect even more. You know, there's this sort of entitled, this feeling of entitlement where everything's owed to them, and you can't offend anybody. You know.
Yeah. But when we were kids, we had nothing. You know, Christmas, we had an apple and orange, and that was a treat.
Yeah, my mum used to make handmade toys. You know, little teddies and stuff for us because we didn't have anything. You know, I started out with nothing, and I've got most of it left. But yeah, but we didn't. We just made the best of it. That's how it was, and that's you know, you just got on with it, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. And it's just proves what we're saying. Go back to the simple way of living. Yeah, everyone's happy. Some comments about you, Jane. Gary says, "Yay,
yay!"
Haunted Antiques. I imagine that's Jackie or Amy. That will be awesome.
Everything is awesome.
What's that song?
I need a hazmat suit to sit in the shelter. That's one of them biochemical suits, isn't it?
Linda says, oh, yes. Anne says, that would be great. Be lovely to see you, Jane.
Oh, bless.
Sarah, oh, will be lovely to see you back. Terry says, oh, yes, black out wisely. It will be amazing to see you get on Sunday, Jane. Jacqueline. Yeah. See, everyone's looking forward to getting you back up here, Jane.
Oh, that'd be good.
Gail says it'll be great to have you back doing your stuff. Tiffany says, I don't think it's worse now than when we were kids. You're looking back with rose-coloured glasses. I'm just saying that we were more content when we were kids. Because we
but I think we had a lot more freedom as well, didn't we? I mean, I remember I used to get on my bike, go and meet my mates, and you know, you had a bottle of water and you know, a packet of crisps or something in your bag, and that's it. You went out for the whole day, and you didn't come in till sort of late at night. And you know, it's. I just look on that freedom now, and you look at the kids around you today, and a lot of them don't even walk school on their own. You know, we used to go to school and we used to walk anyway, even when I can't even remember the school shutting when it snowed. when we were kids, even when the boiler broke down or whatever, you know, you were just told to come in school with an extra jumper on or something.
Yeah.
I can't ever remember the school closing when I was younger because of snow.
And John says, be nice to see you at the centre, Jane. And Bloss says, love to see you back, Jane.
Oh, thank you, everyone.
Sarah says, the mind is a powerful thing. It can change your perspective on life if you just change your mindset. My daughter has had a real tough couple of years and we have tried everything, but have just got to help her with a therapist to change her way of thinking and stop being a victim. I can already see a change in her life.
Yeah. Once you turn to positive thoughts and you want that positive change, then things start to get better anyway. It's I know my son struggled with a few things, and I try and get him to do meditation and stuff like that, and that power of positive thinking and stuff. And it is really hard work, because if somebody's, you know, really quite blinkered in their outlook and they don't feel that there's anything outside of that, it is really difficult to get somebody to sort of change their way of thinking.
It is hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It really is hard. If you've been so, a lot of people are negative, I think, nowadays, without even thinking it.
Yeah.
And to turn that around to being positive about everything, it ain't easy. Okay, Terry says, I worry about all the tech, particularly with the children, all the micro cathode rays, electromagnetic radio waves. Yeah, it's not good for all the kids, is it?
Yeah, and the more technology we get, the less we use our own senses, and the less we use the ability to heal and to help ourselves.
Yeah. And Linda says, looking forward to seeing you back at the centre, Jane. Sunday's live feed is going to be amazing.
Oh, thank you, Linda.
No pressure. So
no
do
pressure,
you have a plan of what you want to do then, Jane?
Roughly, I've not been up the centre, and I've not seen the shelter apart from your
the photo in the back of the van.
Yeah, the photos. So I have been going back to Spirit and asking them the best way to do it, and what I can do to improve, to improve or maximise stuff that we're going to do and everything. So I have got a bit of a plan.
Good. She's obviously not telling us. Although you did tell me, didn't you?
I did tell you a little bit, yeah.
Oh, a little bit. Okay, Tiffany says, I agree about the freedom thing. When my family first got mobiles, my mum called them her GP tracking devices. She was one of the more relaxed parents because we could do most things if she knew where we were. Yeah, there are some good things about the technology, but I just think it gets abused all the time.
Yeah.
Mobile phones.
Remember the only phones we used to have were the old sort of dial phones in the house, and each house had one. That's if you were lucky to have a phone.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I remember my phone number only being 4 digits long, and that was it.
Ours was only 3.
Our
first phone number was Stoke Golding 695.
Yeah. It's,
and now,
but some of my friends, do you remember the metal locks that they used to put in the number 1?
Yeah.
So you could dial it, stop everybody using the phone.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, there's a few more comments. Sarah says, I think when you have a lower self-esteem, you see life in a negative way, unfortunately. This is true.
Yeah.
Once you're on that negative slope, like I said, it's hard to get off it. Richard says, I learned to keep out negativity as much as possible. Stop worrying about things I cannot change or influence and concentrate on the things that are important to me.
Yeah.
That's a good lesson to learn.
Yeah. But a lot of this way of thinking just doesn't come naturally to us anymore because we're not brought up to do it.
That's
and
right.
we've always been taught that we are separate and individual, and you know that we're not connected, and that's just wrong, and they're still teaching it now. And if we were brought up in a more of a positive way where we could tune in and you know, meditate and everything else, and they are doing meditation in some schools, and it's proved massive benefits to the kids and the school. And you know, if we could teach more of that to young people, there would be so much less hate crime, knife crime, you know, hatred in the world. It's you know, when you look at it that way, sometimes you really do think how much we have lost our way as human beings.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? Okay, Anne says, I can pick up on negative people as I try to protect myself from them. I sound awful, but self-preservation.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that's what you have to do. Don't go near negative people. Tiffany says, my littlest sister, who grew up on all the tech, has sensed spirits a lot. My family doesn't talk about things outright, but there's a presence in my parents' house that my 8-year-old sister has said about seeing things since she was 2.
Yeah.
The
children up to about when they're 7, I did read somewhere, and I'm not entirely sure on the, but up until the 7, something changes in the body then that then they can't sort of see the spirits anymore. Yeah. You know, a lot of children are very open to spirits. Once they get to about 7 or 8, they no longer see them as openly as they could before.
Yep. Okay, we're going on about phones now. Pamela says the awful Trill phone.
We weren't posh enough to have a Trill phone, Pamela.
I can't remember that actually.
They were like the long, thin ones, weren't they?
Oh, right. Oh, yeah. Abby says we had a call box on the bottom of the stairs. Anne says, oh, those Trill phones. I bet they're worth a fortune now.
Yeah.
Okay, then. Noreen says, I remember phoning the speaking clock just to use the phone because hardly anyone had a phone at the time.
Oh, I love it.
Terry says, stay put at night, but only under lamppost light. And Bloss says, no point in worrying.
Yeah.
This doesn't do any good, does it? Abby says, the human eye stops growing at the age of 7 to 8. Yeah, what a shame. They stop. They tend to lose it.
Yeah.
So, any more comments? Yeah. So, if you want to see Jane back at the centre, watch our live feed on Sunday. What sort of time do you reckon, Jane?
Oh, probably about 8 o'clock time.
Okay, we'll start at 8 o'clock then. And see what she's got planned. So, any more comments?
I mean, that's gone quick, isn't it?
Yeah, it's only 10 minutes.
I'm going back to the human heart bit. When the baby is like a fetus and the heart starts to beat at about 5 to 6 weeks, 5, 6, 7 weeks, it's at the point that the heart starts to beat that the human soul comes into the body.
Yeah.
So only when that heart starts to beat does the human soul come into the body.
Where have you read that?
I read it. It's I can't remember which book I read it in, but
okay then. Tiffany says, what time is it now there? It is 10 to 9 in the evening, Tiffany. Pamela said, my granddad refused to have a phone. In his 90s, he decided to get one. The London Borough were not happy as he levered up the pavement stabs down the road. Not bad for a 90-year-old, only 20. Not bad for a 90-year-old, 22 stone man. Oh dear. Gary says, but isn't that because school and most parents say it isn't real, then the child starts to believe it, then it disappears? Yeah, I guess a lot of it's down to the parents, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sarah says, if they lose it at around age 7, do you think it would be wrong to encourage them to continue with it?
No, it's not wrong at all. It's just that they lose that complete sort of openness about it when they're little. They're just completely open, and as they do get older, they tend to sort of lose that openness. But that doesn't mean to say they can't continue to go on and work with it.
Abby
You know, we
says,
are so conditioned to think that ghosts don't exist, spirits don't exist. You know, a lot of older people will tell the kids, "Don't be silly. That doesn't exist. That's a load of rubbish." Blah blah blah, and so the kids automatically take on that take. You know, oh, I must be seeing things. It must be rubbish, and or they do still see it, but they don't say anything, and then it gets hidden and pushed to the back.
Anne says they find out Father Christmas isn't real too.
Oh, what do you mean he's not real?
You've just spoiled my whole life now, Anne.
You burst me bubble.
Terry says my nan wouldn't even turn the lights on. She would wait by the firelight in the room till we came in. Well, where I used to live, there used to be a woman down the street from us. Don't matter what time of night or day you came in, she knew. And she'd tell your mum the next morning. And that's when I was 18. Abby says dogma halts the natural progression of spiritual unfoldment and sensory awareness. Yeah. Oh, wrong one. Pamela says, I still sit by the firelight. I love it. It is nice, isn't it? Gary says, are you trying to tell me he's not real?
Oh, another one.
See, you've spoiled Gary's Christmas now, Anne. Linda says, my daughter Chloe, who is 13 years of age, still sees spirit and communicates with them regularly. Yes, yeah, nice. Chloe's been up here a few times. Terry says, spiritually seeing really hasn't anything to do with the eye, more the mind-altered state. And Tiffany says, I just thought I was naughty is why Santa stopped visiting. See? So if Tiffany has been trying to be good this year, she was expecting a present, but now she knows Santa's not real. But then, is Santa a real person, or is he just the idea of Christmas?
Yeah.
He's just a symbol, isn't he?
Well, I always like to think he exists. It's that Christmas magic, isn't it?
Did you ever track him on the internet?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I still do. Through the NORAG, is it NORAG site?
Yeah.
I still do track him, watch him coming over. I've done it ever since the kids were little. I always used to put it on for the kids, but I still do it just to see where he is.
The first time I did that for Ben, you should have seen his face. Oh, it was a picture. He was so excited.
Yeah. NORAD, isn't it? On the NORAD website.
Gary still does.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm not the only one.
And Tara says he'll just bring you coal. That's only if you're naughty. I'm not naughty. I won't ask Julia that question then. Bloss says he's real. Of course he is.
Yeah.
So any final comments to all the people watching? Tiffany says, oh, we still track him. It's fun and how we get the little kids to bed.
Yeah. That's what I used to do.
Yeah, you say, come on, you better go to bed now.
Yeah, all right.
He'll be here soon. Pamela says, they all have all sorts of silly things now to make you spend money. Christmas Eve boxes.
Yeah, what's that all about?
I've not heard of that.
Yeah.
What's that?
I think it's like a box full of little bits, isn't it? To just sort of appease the kids. You get like a more or less like a present or something on Christmas Eve, but
Really?
yeah.
I've not heard that.
I've never had Christmas boxes.
No, isn't that an advent calendar? No, you used to have a little bit of chocolate. Terry says, I wish more people would see the real magic is living life, and it's awesome. Yes, it is.
It is.
And we're all supposed to live it, not just exist. We should live it. Richard says, I think that the spirit of Christmas is spoiled by the commercial greed.
Yeah.
I think the commercial greed spoils everything. It's not just Christmas.
Yeah.
Like Jane said earlier, they all want a bit of your money.
Yeah.
So, any final things before we go? It's only 4 minutes to now. How quick?
Yeah, it's gone quick, isn't it?
Yeah. So, you got any final words to say, Jane?
I think on the spiritual shift side, I think it's just sort of try and look within and just see how you can help yourself. Don't take on too many stresses. Don't worry about things that you can't change, and look at changing yourself from within. And you know, try. If you've never tried meditation, try it. If you've never tried, even if you don't do meditation, just sit quietly in your own energy for 5-10 minutes a day, and that will sort of set you off onto the path of just calming and being peaceful. And look up the heart math thing if you want to try and help yourself a little bit more. That's a great way to start.
Yeah, last few comments then. Gary says Neil wants a bit of your money too. Linda says Christmas is going to be different kind this year. Sadly, many of us won't get to spend Christmas with our loved ones, which is such a shame. Yeah. It is. It is a real big shame. Pamela says should be seeing Easter eggs on the shelf soon. This is very true. So that's about it.
Yeah.
I think we're back on tomorrow night, aren't we?
Yeah. Have we got a guest?
I've sent a message to somebody well known. Actually, he's not returned my message yet.
All right.
So hopefully, I'm trying to get a big name in the paranormal.
Cool.
But he's not answering me yet, so obviously I'm not big. You're not big enough for him yet. So we'll see. If we don't have, we'll rope somebody in anyway.
Yeah.
To chat to and let Mickey out of.
Yeah. It's always good for a giggle.
So thanks everyone for watching on all 3 platforms which we go on now. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel because that's where all the videos are going to be going and it's easy to find. And stay safe.
Yeah, thank you everybody for all your comments and all your thoughts on sharing things with us. So yeah, stay safe. We'll see you all again soon.
Bye.
Bye.